Welcome to Throwing the Jab with your host Willie Nito. In this video series, you will learn how to start conversations with a non-believer about Jesus Christ. You will learn how to become a heavy hitter for the gospel, and most importantly, how to fight until the bell rings. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Throwing the Jab. Today's episode is the Christmas edition. I hope those were sleigh bells. Anyway, so naturally I would want to do a Christmas-themed question or objection. So, first one that came to mind is regarding the birth of Jesus, because as it is explained in the Bible, the birth of Jesus was through a virgin mother, and as they say, virgin conception is inconceivable. So the objection that's going on in this particular situation is, well, are you sure it was a virgin birth and not just some elaborate cover-up for an adulterous affair? Well, there's a couple of things you got to look at here. First of all, context is key. If you're ever locked out of the door of truth, find the context key, and you'll be able to find your way just fine. So, you may not really think much of marriage these days, but back then marriage was very, very important. Marriage pretty much was like everything in the culture, in that place of the world, in that time of history. And so you didn't have such things as single moms or single dads. It wasn't a thing. It wasn't trendy. It was very much frowned upon. And so what people believe is that, there was no possible way for Mary to have been a virgin and yet somehow conceive a child without having known a man. Let the listener understand. But, there's an obvious ritual that has to go around in order to make a baby. And this ritual supposedly didn't happen. According to the skeptics, they don't believe that this could happen. But yet, that's how the Bible explains it. I mean, it was explained in Isaiah chapter 9 as a prophecy regarding the birth of Christ. And the birth of Christ was announced to Mary, and explaining to her that it was going to be a virgin birth. So, you can be sure that it was a virgin birth, according to what the Bible says. But to the skeptic, they believe that it was some sort of elaborate cover-up, where either, Mary went off and had a little fling with Bartimaeus down the street, got pregnant, and instead of just going ahead and telling Joseph straight up what happened and dealing with the punishment, she just made up some elaborate story. Oh, an angel told me! So people believe either that, or they believe that Joseph, who was in fact engaged to Mary at the time, just got a little excited, and that, the two of them just got a little busy before their wedding day, and that she got pregnant, and they both just decided to, an angel told us that it's actually the Messiah. Well, here's the thing. You gotta understand that adultery was not glorified like it is in culture these days. Adultery is heavily glorified in culture these days, so people don't really get it. But adultery was a very, very serious matter in biblical times, to the point where to even look at a woman to lust after her was considered adultery. And those are the words of Jesus. Still stands true, but the culture actually did view it pretty seriously. That the punishment for adultery was to be stoned to death. Not just the girl, but also the guy. So both parties involved were to be brought out into the public square and beaten with stones until they were dead. And The pile of stones that their bodies sat under was their grave. It was pretty serious. And so, so if Mary had just had some little fling with some guy, she and the some guy would have had to get stoned to death. And if Mary and Joseph had a little fling without having gotten married first, they would have been stoned to death. Now the response when Joseph found out that Mary was pregnant, he immediately just wanted to put her away quietly. He just wanted to divorce her very quick, with no questions asked. Just, okay, just run along now. You go find yourself some other guy. We're not going to ask questions here. But the thing is that he still ended up taking her. Even though he wanted to, he was told by an angel. That's what it says in the Bible. He was told by an angel, don't be afraid to take Mary as your wife. So, he very much risked public execution, not only for himself, but also for his wife, because of this. And then there's another couple of elements. Not only the fact that they risked public execution if it was adultery, but then there was also the nature of the birth of Christ itself, where shepherds in fields, nearby, they found out about it. An angel told them. And even magi, wise men, people who were, very learned men who studied the times, they studied the stars, they studied history. They knew what was going on. They were coming all the way from Babylon, probably even a little bit further. It took them 2 years, approximately, to get to Israel from where they were. But they knew about it. They didn't have live streaming apps at that time, like we do today. People in Iraq could see my video right now. It wouldn't take them 2 years to find out about my video. But shepherds in the local area knew about the birth of Christ. And it's not like word really spreads that quickly in that time. And wise men from the east, very far, very, 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 very far, knew about it. And they knew where to find him. And so with that being said, whenever the wise men approached King Herod, it troubled King Herod so much that it drove him to cause a massacre of male children of the ages of 2 and under in that whole region. So there was this mass infanticide. There was a very, very serious slaughter of innocent children that was going on, all because of this baby being born. Now, let me ask you this question. It's something very serious that I want you to think about. If you are a skeptic of the virgin birth, think about this. Do you think that Mary and Joseph would have allowed the massacre of so many children? There really isn't any kind of number that's given in the Bible, but any number is a horrible number. But it was definitely a very large number, because it was a whole region of people who had male children 2 and under. They were all murdered without any kind of good reason, just because the king said so. If they had just fessed up and said, all right, you got me, guys, we had a little fling, go ahead, take us in, punish us, do whatever you got to do, but leave the little babies alone. Because if they had just fessed up, then it wouldn't have happened. But they didn't, and they were able to allow that. It was such a serious matter that they weren't about to lie about it. So you can be sure that these guys were telling the truth. As crazy as it may sound to you as a skeptic, they would not have allowed this mass infanticide to take place if it was nothing more than just a little fling. If they just got in trouble, they would have fessed up. So, hopefully I've given you some things to think about for those of you who are skeptical of the virgin birth. And that was just a little simple response that hopefully can provoke some thought. So, Merry Christmas to you all, and to all a good night. Thanks again for watching. Remember, nobody is unsavable. Anyone on this earth who has breath in their lungs is capable of being saved through the power of Jesus Christ. So thank you all for continuing to watch this video series and supporting the Southpaw Soapbox Evangelism Training Academy. If this ministry has in any way been a blessing to you, please help support us in our cause. You can like us on Facebook, Southpaw Soapbox. You can follow us on Twitter at SCF Ministry, or you can go to our website at scfministry.com and subscribe to our weekly newsletter. It's just a simple little newsletter with all of my resources for the week right into your inbox. It's a great resource, and it has blessed many people and really changed their lives to help them become a heavy hitter for the gospel and to be able to fight until the bell rings.
Repentance, the time is past due. You gave me all the time in the world, the Father went for you. So I'ma keep it real and ride with the Lord. So help me die with the Lord. Mortify the flesh by the Spirit born. I know my life because there's a Christ in His name. Jesus died on the cross for me so that my life could be changed. And He could break the chains of every sin and addiction so that I can focus on His holiness, the gift that I've been given.